Hey, everybody. So let me just say, of course, I wish Bernie Sanders all the best health wise. I like Bernie. I voted for him in 2016. I would probably vote for him again, dependent on what the political circumstances are. But I think, given the heated situation we're in campaign wise, it's worth taking a second look at what reportedly transpired yesterday when the campaign put out a statement that Bernie had been admitted to the hospital with chest pains and then had to undergo an emergency procedure. Reading the description of what happened, it sounds to me like he had a heart attack. I'm not a medical expert, obviously, but if you have chest pains and then you need to have an emergency procedure, it sounds like he had an angioplasty, which is minimally invasive, but still, if you have to have the insertion of stents, that's a surgery of some kind, I would think. It's a serious issue, as is anything involving the heart, which is why everybody recommends that the moment you feel any heart discomfort, you get immediate medical attention because you don't know what's going to happen. Actually, on a personal note, a friend of my dad's who was in great health just died suddenly a couple days ago after experiencing chest pains. He had a heart attack, and it was too late for them to insert the stents. So it's a big issue, and all the well wishes are good, and I join in sending them. But there are certain political realities here that I think are at least worth considering. He's 78 years old, so when you're of that age, recovering from a health episode like this, I would think is a little more complicated. He canceled events until further notice, which suggests that he's undergoing observation to assess what the status of his health is. And, you got to be clear-eyed about this stuff because we're only a couple months out from the first primary contest. And I think, the betting markets and the conventional wisdom probably overreacted a little bit. If you go and look at the aggregation of the betting markets right now, he somehow sunk below Mayor Pete and has only a 5% chance of winning the nomination, which I think is going way overboard. And I think that Warren's being overrated, where she's now at 51% to win the nomination. So that's sort of a little bit of excessive reactivity given the heat of the moment. But if he did have a heart attack, I mean, I guess you can get into semantics, but that is worth knowing, and you can't discount the political impact of that. I hope that he maintains the same vigor and stamina as he has now for years. He's been campaigning essentially nonstop for the presidency since 2015, and that's got to take a toll at some point. But I worry a little bit that because Bernie is so popular within online progressive media, that maybe the implications of this aren't being adequately scrutinized, because the reality is that in conversations with voters that I've personally had and that you hear about anecdotally elsewhere, they do take into account a candidate's age and stamina. Like, that probably has applied more to Biden recently, given his cognitive impairment, where I've spoken personally with a number of people who like Biden and would probably vote for him if he were 15 years younger. But they don't know if he is electable enough given his health situation, which is fair. I mean, especially if you think that beating Trump is the number one priority. and a lot of Democratic voters feel that way, then yeah, you're going to have to bear in mind as you make your voting choice whether the candidate is capable mentally and physically of entering a grueling campaign against Trump, which will be vicious and crazy in all kinds of ways. So if Bernie had a heart attack, and there's an uncomfortable video of him at this Nevada event where obviously he was experiencing symptoms and had to sit down. If that was a heart attack, even if it was on the mild side, that's a serious issue, and having an emergency procedure, which could potentially be life-saving in the wake of a cardiovascular event, is a serious issue. So, maybe I'm being a little cagey here, or I'm not being as overt as I could be, but I just think that given the present political climate, this is something that has to be taken seriously, and the descriptions of what happened have been a little bit unclear. Obviously, we'll know more if he returns to public events soon, which I'm assuming he probably will, although we don't know. But it's not a great thing for a variety of reasons. And they did seem to they announced that they were canceling a TV ad buy in Iowa yesterday, and not clear on why they would do that. He's got a ton of money, and it makes all the sense in the world for him, even though he's not focusing on television advertising necessarily. It would make all the world for him to make that ad buy, especially given Warren's rise in the polls. So I guess what I'm saying here is I'm just urging some caution and restraint in terms of how this is assessed. I wouldn't automatically assume that everything is fine with him. Hope for the best, but this is an obstacle for sure. And maybe give it a couple days and see what happens before making any more long-term political prognostications. But it's something that merits serious attention, depending on what happens in the next couple days. So that's what I wanted to say, I guess. I know that's a little scattershot, but it had been on my mind. So, all right, we'll talk to you later.